Good morning, everyone. We have a full speaking program today because we're all so excited about the chance to really make Boston's growth and opportunity accessible to all. We're here with our incredible partners from all different angles and sectors within the housing community, and here with my partners at the city level for both on the City Council as well as serving in cabinet roles. So you'll hear from several of us shortly about our executive order to be signed today. I wanted to just kind of frame and put into context the larger vision and policy around housing development and growth in general. We all are celebrating the fact that Boston is a growing city. We want to be green and growing, resilient and equitable. We are growing because of our leadership in a number of different sectors, in healthcare, in life sciences, innovation, technology, education, the arts, and as a city that is a home for everyone. With all of our pride in that growth, we need to be doing even more to ensure that our growth is contributing to the shared prosperity at all of our neighborhoods and residents across the city. And so I know Chief Sheila Dillon of our Housing Cabinet has been pounding this drum for years and years with her leadership through several administrations, and our new Chief of Planning, Arthur Jemison, and his team, as soon as they hit the ground running, have brought this up as a major priority of how do we ensure that affordability is at the forefront of everything that we're doing. So a week ago, I had the chance to hint at what we would be signing today, speaking with leaders at the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Forum, where we discussed the urgency of our need to address challenges and rising housing costs. We can't be the most family-friendly city in the country if our housing costs continue to drive out families of every size and income level. Boston is a city that has set housing goals before, and with strong leadership, we have not only met but exceeded those goals. But it's not enough just to say we are hitting a certain number when our residents are feeling that pressure and feeling the pinch in making hard choices in how they will afford to stay in the communities they have helped build and grow up in. We have to be intentional and strategic about the kinds of units we're creating and asking if they're affordable for residents in our neighborhoods today, if they'll be housing families and creating homeownership opportunities for our lower income residents. And after reviewing the current process, we have found that right now it takes an average of 11 months to get approvals for affordable housing developments. That's an average, so wildly longer timeframes for many of our projects. Today I'm excited to sign an executive order that will make sure that we're cutting that time in half. This order calls for the This executive order calls for the many city departments whose work touches housing to come together and find ways, in conversation with each other, to eliminate redundancies and streamline the review and approvals process. This order will prioritize affordable housing projects, examine opportunities to amend the Article 80 process for everyone, and review zoning challenges, all with an eye toward accelerating the process of creating affordable housing. The city departments, agencies, boards, and commissions involved in this process know the importance of this work and are committed to finding solutions for Boston's families, present and future. This is just one more step among many that we're taking to make it easier to create homes that are healthy, energy efficient, and affordable for all of our residents. Now, one of my first actions in City Hall when I was just an intern for Mayor Menino was to think about our permitting process and really try to understand from the perspective of restaurants and small businesses what that involved. One of the most eye-opening pieces, again, first couple days stepping into this building and onto this side of a counter that so many have to interact with, was just how siloed many of these steps were from each other. And that contributes to the length of time that's consumed when one department knows what they're doing and can give you instructions on that, but then they pass you on to the next, and the process just involves so many different pieces, often duplicative of each other, and incredibly frustrating for those who are trying their best to make their communities healthier and more habitable and to accommodate more of our residents. So a key piece of this is really that collaboration and taking down silos between departments. Okay, otra vez en español, and then I'm going to introduce the speakers to come. Buenos días, me alegra mucho estar aquí para compartir algunas noticias sobre nuestro trabajo con el sistema de vivienda asequibles en Boston. Estamos orgullosos como ciudad de nuestro crecimiento, pero tenemos que hacer más para asegurar que ese crecimiento está apoyando a la prosperidad colectiva. La regla exigirá a los grandes constructores para conectar con cada departamento en la ciudad que necesita un parte del sistema de aprobación de permisos viviendas asequibles. Entonces, en ese momento es un proceso que hace 11 meses, y nuestro compromiso, nuestro objetivo es crear un proceso que tiene solamente una mitad del tiempo. Es un proyecto que necesita la colaboración a todos nuestros departamentos y también con los líderes en nuestra comunidad de desarrollo, de organizaciones sin lucro sobre el desarrollo de viviendas asequibles, y nuestros líderes y socios en el Consejo Municipal y todos los jefes de gabinete sobre este tema. Entonces es un objetivo que es difícil y grande, pero necesario para la salud, para la prosperidad y la equidad de nuestras comunidades. Okay, I'm going to hand it over now to our two chiefs who will touch on their various cabinets and ways they're plugging into this. First, Chief of Housing Sheila Dillon, then Chief of Planning Arthur Jemison. Then we will hear from some of our city councilors. We'll hear from Councilor Lara, the chair of the Housing Committee, Councilor Bach, who had proposed a process like this on the City Council several years ago, Councilor Lujen, who has had a history working in housing on behalf of all of our colleagues on the council, and I'll go ahead and thank Councilor Coletta, Councilor Worrell, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Mejia, and Councilor Fernandez Anderson also for being here and for their support of this. And then we will hear from Aaron Gornstein of POA, Ms. Leslie Reed from Madison Park Development Corporation, Kim Sherman-Stamler from Related Beal, and then we'll get to it and sign. Okay, and if anyone needs to remember the order, it is taped on here. Okay, Chief Dillon.
Thank you, Mayor. And given that very impressive lineup, I am going to be very, very brief. I am very excited to be here with my colleagues and so many organizations that are dedicated to the creation of affordable housing. As the Mayor mentioned, she's going to sign an order today that's going to require us to review and get back to her on how we are going to prioritize affordable housing, make changes to the Article 80 process, study the zoning code that would minimize the need for variances, and create a system to track affordable housing through the process, looking for bottlenecks and ways to improve. And we're doing this for one very good reason, right? There are way too many of our citizens, our individuals and our families that can no longer afford to live in this city. And this suffering and this anguish is incredibly real. We receive phone calls every single day from families that don't want to leave but are being forced out. So we need to act on it with a sense of urgency for them. I do want to thank a few people that have worked really hard on this. Paige Russo is here. She was a consultant for the city and really helped us start thinking about this. You probably heard from her. Tim Davis and many, many others. So finally, I just want to say that I know that we're all very, very dedicated to affordable housing, and a lot of you have made this your life's work. but it's going to require all of us, not just the city departments to get better, but all working very closely with all of you to make sure that you're submitting projects that you love, that we're getting back to you quickly, you're having good conversations with the community. So I think it's a city exercise and one the mayor is going to be looking at very closely, but we really are going to depend on the partnership with you all to get it done. But thank you very, very, very much. And now, Chief Jemison.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Sheila, so much for that introduction, and Mayor, appreciate your kind words. Listen, the BPDA is focused on the city's biggest challenges in our view: resilience, affordability, and equity. This is an example of how we're prioritizing the affordability component of those goals to tackle our current housing crisis. This policy is going to direct us to bring together a cross-functional team of leaders to identify the important housing projects and how we can sort of shorten the time that they need to come to fruition. We're going to develop streamlining elements for Article 80 to make permitting go more quickly. And we'll be challenging our planning teams to propose strategies to remove barriers to permitting and building affordable housing. In our view, what gets measured gets done, so our team's going to be creating a tracking system to ensure these projects are being prioritized and moving through the system on a timely basis. The executive order also is going to provide incentives for our private partners to deliver the kind of housing we desperately need in the city right now. We're going to move as fast as possible to ensure that we meet the mayor's directive, and we got such I'm honored to have some of my mentors and leaders up here who are going to be sharing a few words with you after I'm done. Thanks so much, and we look forward to getting started with this important work. Aaron. Okay. Pardon me.
Please. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kendra Lara, and I'm the District 6 Boston City Councilor, and I serve as the Boston City Council's chair for the Committee on Housing and Community Development. I'm really excited to be here with you today and really excited for the work that Chief Dillon and Mayor Wu are doing when it comes to this executive order. When you think about city government, expedient and speedy are not two words that come to your mind. And we know that if we really want to step into the transformative vision that we set forth of making sure that we're protecting affordability and making Boston one of the most family-friendly cities in the country, we're going to have to make sure that our vision is in direct alignment with our policies. And this is one way that may seem small and it may seem like a technocratic change, but it's ultimately going to get us back into alignment with the world that we want to see. And for me, as a city councilor, the personal is always political, and as my family and I have been beneficiaries of the municipal policies around housing that have come out of City Hall, I know that this small change is going to have an impact on so many families in the city of Boston, and so I'm incredibly humbled to be here standing with my colleagues and with Mayor Wu to sign this executive order today. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kenzie Bach. I'm the District 8 City Councilor, and in my prior life I did policy and planning for the Boston Housing Authority and experienced the hurdles that we require even our own city-built housing to pass through. And so I think that it's just so important when we think about the crisis that we face in the city and the need for affordable units, that every barrier that we're putting up is one that we try to sand down. And I was really proud with all of my colleagues on the council to vote for and pass a measure last year that would remove parking minimums for majority affordable housing projects. So really want to thank all the colleagues here, and we filed in January a hearing order to say what else can we do to expedite affordable housing, and so I'm so excited that the mayor is signing this executive order today, and even more so that this executive order really tells all of our city departments to look under the hood and think about every possible way that we can expedite this, because we needed all of these units yesterday. I'm really proud in my district. We had a proposal for 210 affordable units built by, it's a renovation project of the YWCA done by Pine Street Inn and Beacon Communities. And it came through last year, and frankly, the whole community decided to get together and sort of self-expedite the process. So everybody on the IAG said, this is something we want to see. We sort of sped it up, and as a result, it managed to take much more like this goal that we're talking about here, that like half a year or less. But the reality was that was because, you know, all of these people of goodwill were aligned together. And so because of that, we're going to have these 210 units, 111 of which are supportive housing for formerly homeless folks, opening up really soon. But I think that, you know, we need to be building and sustaining affordable housing on the scale of thousands of units across the city, and we're only going to do that with systems change. So really excited about this and really grateful to all the colleagues and the mayor who are here behind this today. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ruth C. Louis-Jean, at-large City Councilor, and I'm so thrilled to be here. This is my first executive order signing, and I'm really happy that it's on affordable housing because it's something that we need to make sure is available to everyone. Housing is a human right, and I know that we all here on the City Council believe that, so I'm really happy to be with my colleagues, with the mayor, with the chiefs who are really working day in and day out on this issue because it's an issue that we care a lot about on the Boston City Council. Councilor Erin Murphy just joined us, another at-large City Councilor, and I know that around the city, wherever we go, regardless of the neighborhood, all we hear about is how are we solving the housing crisis? And so we solve it together, collaboratively with all of you. As a lawyer, I've worked with Maha, but not only as a lawyer, as a person who was trying to buy my first home. It was critical in that process, and also understanding how time is money. And the more we delay the construction of affordable housing, the harder we make permitting, the more costly it becomes with inflation, with the cost of labor. So we have to get better at that. So I just want to shout out to all the CDCs who are in the house today. I see Fenway in the house, Mass CDC, Maha, Viet 8 is here. I'm going to stop, but POA, NOAA, a lot of folks in the house, because it takes all of us together to make sure that everyone is able to have a place to call home. So thank you, Mayor Wu, and thank you to everyone here for the work together.
I'm Councilor Aaron Gornstein, and I'm Aaron Gornstein, President and CEO of POA, and this is just another example of Mayor Wu's outstanding leadership on affordable housing. So if we can thank her again. Obviously, the City Council is equally supportive of affordable housing. We thank everyone on the council, but fast tracking, this sounds kind of bureaucratic, a little wonky, but it's all about helping more low-income people, ultimately. To do that, we've got to speed up the process. And I'm just so confident in the leadership team the mayor's put together that they're going to do this with our consultation in a fair and balanced way so that we could both speed up the process, but also continue the careful scrutiny that goes on and should continue. So I think it's perfect timing. We've got a robust pipeline. We got to get those units built as quickly as possible. And there's new funding from the American Rescue Plan, or ARPA, which the mayor has already deployed with the council support at both the local and state levels. So let's utilize that money, get the housing built as quickly as possible. And thank you also, Mayor, for setting up an implementation advisory committee. And we really want everyone here, I know the affordable housing community and the business community is going to work closely to make sure this is successful. And I agree with Sheila. We have a responsibility on the developer side to make sure we're consulting with the neighborhood, we're getting their input, we're putting forth proposals that are viable and practical and all that. So we're definitely going to take this seriously on our side. And then finally, I just want to thank the Alliance for Business Leadership and Jennifer Benson. Jennifer, thank you, and to all the members of the Alliance for engaging the business community in this process as well. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Leslie Reed. I work for Madison Park Development Corporation, which serves the Lower Roxbury, Nubian Square, and adjacent neighborhoods. I'm so pleased to be here today. For over 55 years, our organization has been at the forefront of community-based, resident-led development, especially that for affordable homes. From Madison Park Village, which was among the first resident-led affordable housing developments in the country, to the Orchard Gardens and Whittier public housing redevelopments, we've collaborated over the long term with the city to push forward effective and innovative approaches to ensuring the delivery and preservation of housing opportunities for all of those in our community. This executive order is an important demonstration of this administration's commitment to finding new and better ways to support equitable development in our city. While current community processes and design standards ensure that affordable housing in Boston meets the highest quality standards, uncoordinated inputs and approvals from city agencies have resulted, as you've heard, in challenges, time delays, and increased costs, which we can ill afford at this really critical moment. So by improving and expediting the city's review process, the Wu administration, Mayor's Office of Housing, Boston Planning and Development Agency, it demonstrates that they're continuing to find these new and improved ways to meet the most important housing needs of our growing city. And I'm so pleased to be here today to be part of this important step to ensure that affordable housing continues to contribute to all aspects of healthy neighborhoods and a built environment without sacrificing process and quality. So thank you so much to Mayor Wu and to all of the various aspects of the city that continue to be our partners in this important endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kim Sherman-Stamler. I'm the president of Related BL. I just want to start by saying thank you, Mayor Wu. It's an incredible honor to be here with you today, to be with our elected officials, and to be with your team and your leaders. We are at Related BL really excited about the affordable housing that we built, the affordable housing that we will continue to build, and that our company, Affordable Housing, is a foundation to who we are and what we do, and we're looking forward to everything that lies ahead. We're thrilled to see you and your administration, to see Chief Sheila Dillon and Arthur Jemison here today, and so many others that put this issue and so many issues at the forefront, including so many of the issues that were discussed earlier. As a company, we believe and are excited about inclusive growth. This is central to the idea to ensure that we're building quality housing for all income levels. At its core, this executive order is going to enable teams to build affordable housing faster, which we believe is a key to solving the affordable housing crisis. Reducing approval times and taking innovative approaches to development timelines will be extremely beneficial to our city and our region, to our families, and to our workforce. And as we know, there is no time to waste. I just want to give a quick example of a project that we completed in 2018 called the Beverly, which is blocks from here. We opened up the project in the development in 2018. The entirety of the building, 239 units, was 100% income restricted, and we received thousands of applications for those 239 units. And it's clear, the need is clear, and we were thrilled to work with our partners in government in order to be able to complete that building. Today, it is exciting that Mayor Wu is activating the entirety of your administration to help expedite and address this need, and thank you. On behalf of all of us at Related BL, I'm proud and excited to stand here with all of you today. Thank you.
Any questions for anyone up here? Soraya?
I think it's just me. Do you have either a goal or a number of units in pipeline that you expect to come through this fast track process?
Yep. So the main thrust of this executive order and the goal is to focus on the average time frame, because we really believe that by bringing down the average, a whole lot of projects will move through faster at all sizes and scopes, even projects that are not necessarily affordable housing. In the cities, over the last few years, as we've experienced this incredible building boom prior to the pandemic, the city had been surpassing all of the benchmarks laid out for numbers of units. But our approach is to be much more specific, even outside this executive order, about what types of units those have to be. Because if we just keep growing, but we're not growing equitably, we're perpetuating the same injustices and displacement that already are at crisis levels across our neighborhoods. And so our big picture was to focus not only on where we're headed and how many units, but the proportion of those units that will be affordable and deed restricted. And so in understanding that we really want to see a split that not only is about growing, but growing all of the segments that we need in the right proportions at the same time, the focus had to be, we need to accelerate and streamline the affordable housing pipeline to get to the level that we want, proportionate to the growth everywhere. We want to keep it all going, but we need to especially put our resources to targeting this segment of it, family housing. So that's why our goal of being able to support peak population again, right? Boston had been at 800,000 residents several decades ago. You can't get to 800,000. You can't get to a peak population without people of color being able to afford to live in the city, without families with kids being able to stay in the city, workers being able to buy homes and stay in the city. And so tackling that affordability piece has to be the what unlocks the rest of it in terms of equitable growth in all other areas as well. And so concretely, what will happen after the pen does its thing is our departments have done a high-level scan of what feels possible in terms of tightening up different pieces of the process as it stands now. And then we set a goal that was even harder and even more ambitious, because we need to be pushing ourselves even internally beyond what's just comfortable. So the departments will, under Sheila and Arthur and likely our friends at ISD and Dion, we'll get together and really say, how are we overlapping and intersecting, and we can speed up? How can we each individually speed up? And then what are the rules changes, the zoning changes that we just need to change the entire system to have more as of right and predictability when it comes to affordable housing in particular as well. And so we're going to be pushing on all fronts, and it won't happen overnight, but I would say in a couple of months we should have a good sense of the individual department and system-wide changes that will be made. The pipeline of projects takes a little bit of time to fill up anyway, so we'll start to see some of the impact probably a year from now and beyond as the projects that are now entering this new system and being proposed now come to fruition then.
My only other thing is public notification. Even though your office said it takes a little bit more than a year or about a year from initial to approval, residents will still say when they get to a public meeting that they weren't notified about construction that's happening like down the street from them. So when we revamp this process, how are we going to balance speed and public notification?
Yeah, okay, so the question was, how do we balance speed and public notification? And that is, we are delivering the impact that we want to see to stabilize, support, and root families in our communities has to come from families leading the conversation. And if you sit at, I would say, basically every single one of the public conversations that I've been a part of for the last decade or so, all the community meetings, all the abutters meetings, affordability is always one of the first things that gets asked. Why can't we do more? Why can't these new buildings be for income at affordability levels that we in this neighborhood right now would be able to step into and afford? And so this has come directly out of that feedback from community members, and we will, in a perfect world, the planning and community conversation informs development. So planning comes first, communities help set the rules, and then we all follow the rules, and it's predictable and streamlined. There will always be exceptions in that situation, but we're in a very broken system when 95% plus of new construction has to go through a zoning board of appeals or BPDA variance process to get a special approvals, dragging the neighbors out day after day after day to meetings that people are exhausted of, and also just creating uncertainty about where projects will end up at the end of at the other side of the process. And so we are going to be setting standards that reflect the needs in our community. In many cases, that is much clearer about affordability, about climate resiliency, about equity, but that means that we'll also have a more predictable and faster process for all to go through on the other side. Great, good, okay, that's fine.